Hello, hello. So, we'll begin in a very, very short while. Yep, I think I've got everything set up, so let us begin. Let's see. Hi everyone, and welcome to yet another live stream where we will be drawing together, we'll be learning together, and it's another week, another opportunity to draw some more and to learn something new, hopefully. Other than that, what I want to say about today's stream is that we will focus on something related to the first two streams. And that's gonna be proportions, but now we're talking about proportions of the human body. I want to go a bit more in depth into this subject in order to understand how can you get to draw people from imagination, but respecting realistic, like adhering to realistic proportions. So for that, I have some exercises prepared a bit later, but right now, as everybody knows already, we will start with a bit of a warm-up that's maybe a bit different than the last two times, but it has elements related to that. But what I want to say before we start the warm-up is something that I missed the last two times I did a stream, and that is all the exercises that I'm doing in the warm-up. I've learned of them from this great, wonderful site that I recommend you all go check out. It's called Draw a Box. And that's where I think I started my adventure into learning how to draw a bit more profoundly. Not just the surface level, not just things I was taught in school, not things I intuitively gathered. No, that's a site where I started learning about those exercises, those warm-up exercises, but also there's a lot more in there. A lot more about how to see the world, how to see objects, creatures, people, how to break them down into forms, into different forms and shapes, So I recommend you go check that out. Draw a Box. That's great. It was great for me for starting up. And as you see, I think those warm-up exercises are really useful. And of course, you can come up with any other exercises if you want to. But for now, I'll stick with them. They suit me just fine. And as I said, let's begin. For today, I have some warm-up exercises that are quite simple. We'll begin, as you know, with the lines, with drawing the lines. So, let's see if everything is in order. Yes. Then we can begin. I hope you'll have a very fun experience drawing or doing whatever. Now, I'm trying to draw the lines, as I said before, from the shoulder, moving the arm in one straight movement. And I'm trying not to use my wrist too much. Trying to keep my wrist fixed in one place. Oh, that was quite wobbly. Let's make another one. Because I don't want to hurt my wrist. That's one of the main things when you're working a lot with a pencil. Your wrist is quite sensitive to very small, minor movements. So if you do this all the time and you move it around like this, sometimes it can actually, cause a lot of pain. And I heard of many examples where people hurt their wrists by using it too much. So I'm trying, as best as possible to do those exercises as wrist-free as I can. So yeah, we're just drawing straight lines from left to right, not much yet, but we'll get on with something different soon enough. Let me try some from right to left and see how this goes. A bit more difficult as expected, but I feel that I think they got a bit better. Like my muscle memory that went a bit to the lower side, but my muscle memory I think is getting a bit better. It might be just an impression, but I do think that you know, you have to take into account all the experience that you will gather while doing such exercises. And of course, this will not be visible from 1 or 2 sessions, let's say. I'll have to take just a moment. I'll be right back. This is not actually a short break, but I think I'll leave you with my chair for 1 second. And I am back. Second of chair stream. Wonderful. So as I was saying, yeah, if you hurry, I think you can see the lines get worse. But if you spend too much time on a line like this, you see, you have to be somewhere in the middle, I think. Those are not bad lines, you know. They have some life into them. But those quick ones, you know, those show a lot of movement. Those show action. I think it's nice to try all of them. Try to draw slower and faster. See what happens. I think that's how we learn, from experience. Of course, we learn from theory as well, but experience really helps us to understand what we've learned. Okay, so now I want to do something again with lines, but let's combine a bit of a shape with them. So let's move on with drawing lines, keep them a bit further apart, and we will add in between some oval shapes. Remember? We did this before. Yeah, this is a more diverse exercise, but try to keep your wrist still as well while doing this, okay? From the shoulder. Try to do it from the shoulder. Your shoulder could hurt a bit. That might be another thing. For me, right now, I think my upper arm is hurting a little bit because I've used the mouse the whole day, but I think it's better than my wrist hurting, honestly. I think it's more healthy overall. So we'll fill up a page with those. And I know I've talked last time about those exercises that I'm doing and making a something like not a spreadsheet, but make some pages with guidelines for all of those exercises, so you can, if you want to, download it and exercise at home. I've remembered that, I've noted it down, and I will get on with it as soon as my spare time allows. But it's the first thing on the list regarding to the streams. So yeah, it's a priority. Whenever I get the time to work on something, I'll work on that. I have some other ideas for the stream, for improving the live stream, which are related to the follower experience. But I'll keep that simple as that. You know, I won't say more because I want people to see it first hand when they notice it on stream, not before. Okay, so yeah, I'm moving a bit faster now because I want to go to to the next exercise, which I'm excited about. And this one is a bit different than what we've done so far, because we've done stuff that's related to the 2D, but now I want to move a bit towards the 3D aspect of drawing. So I want everyone, if you want to follow along, draw a shape that's like a blob, you know, like a blob of something. I don't know, whatever. But make it simple. Make it quite, you know, something like that, like a peanut or something. You know, like an eggplant, a cucumber, anything like a simple blob shape. Because we want to work with some of those shapes, you can make more, you know. Keep it simple, keep it relaxed. It can have like those 3 sides, you know, or it can be whatever. I'm drawing them like this because my hand goes this way, you know, and it feels just natural. So yeah, we'll have something like this, like a worm or something. And, you know, yeah, we can have whatever, but keep it smooth if you can, smooth as possible. Not like I'm doing here. I'm patching it up. But with those blobs, what I want you to do, and I will do as well, is to try to make them look 3D. And how will we do that? We will create the lines that would go around a 3D object. You'll see that in just a minute. Water is really important, and I advise you drink as well. So, moving on, let's try to let me try to express in drawing what I was talking about earlier. So, if we make those kind of circles that you can imagine go around the object, you know, around the blob, and try to draw them all the way, you know, just draw the whole ovals as we did before, trying to keep inside the lines, right? As much as possible. It's an exercise. We're learning here. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. So just do the best job you can. Okay, and now that we have something like this, you can start erasing parts of it and see through the object. See the shape that's left behind and see how it creates this illusion of 3-dimensionality, right? If we just do this, for the next ones I'll try to draw with a different brush, so it's easier to see what I'm talking about. But you see, we follow those circles, right? Those shapes that together create a 3D form. Okay, and if we think about it, you know, connecting the middle parts of this 3D object, right? That would be a line that goes straight through the middle. Other than that, you know, what you can do to understand a bit better how this would look like is, now let's go on this direction as well, and you think about it, the circles will go around, and if we make a dotted line, you can see, yes, it goes there on the back side of the peanut and comes around. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to exercise today for the next 3 minutes with you. So let's just leave our creativity open to suggestions. Let me change my brush to a softer one. Don't think that's a problem though. Let's lower the opacity a bit. Okay, and just leave your creativity open and think how this object could look like in 3D. Let's give it some of that feeling, that 3D feeling, right? And you probably noticed that I use undo quite a lot. That's because we are on digital canvas. On paper, you'll have to learn on paper the hard way, you know, with little to no erasing, because there's no point in spending the time to erase on those warm-up exercises, right? I should stop actually doing this with my digital software here. So yeah, we won't use undo anymore. That's that's a challenge. Okay, so if we quickly show, right, the shape. Okay, so this you can imagine the middle part would go all the way to this place and this, right? They are all interconnected, and we can move on to this worm. Okay, this dune-like creature. Dune. I don't know why I thought about dune the first thing. Like, you can find worms in so many places. What I said before about not using undo. Yeah, it's a big challenge, but okay. Leave the mistake there. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so yeah, I can see something going like this all the way to that place. And for the last one, because we don't have that much time left, and I want to move on to the other things that I have prepared for you. Well, oh, this is a bit more challenging, but yeah, let's try. Okay. Yeah, so this is one of the first exercises where you learn how to make the objects seem 3D, starting with shapes, right? Because this is just a shape. But now that we have some lines that will guide us, if we want to build on those shapes, you can add shading based on those lines, right? So you can have this area that's darker, but this will follow, right, only the lines. So it gets lighter around here, okay, depending on where the light is hitting from. But what I want to say is those lines are really useful to guide us, to help us in the beginning, because after a long time you won't need them anymore. I still need them, right? When I'm drawing something that's 3D, I try to envision it, but those lines are really helpful. But we are here to learn, right? That's why we do those kinds of exercises. Now that we are kind of done with the warm-up, let's move on to the first exercise that I have prepared for you. And for that, I will need to open up the pure ref that I have prepared with some references. I found some images, some diagrams online, and I want you to see them as well. So let me set it up Yeah. Yeah, that worm seems to seems to have a bit of a leg. That's how you get to mammals, you know, and birds and fishes and everything. That's the start. Okay, now pure ref. Let's go. How you doing, Scoop? Nice to see you in chat. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show all of you. I wanted to show you that in general, when we're talking about human anatomy and proportions of the human body, we are mostly talking about some very specific rules. And we have the 8-head rule, and we also have the 7.5 head rule. We'll talk about all of those. But what I found, which is quite a bit more interesting, is that you can increase that amount of like you can change the proportions, you can play with them in order to portray different characteristics of a certain human being or a creature, whatever you are drawing. And also this is another interesting aspect about drawing children, drawing babies. The proportions, of course, as you know, are different based on the size of the head, and we will take into account the size of the head when we're drawing almost all of those, like I think all of those actually, because it's how should I put it, when you're drawing a realistic human, it's quite simple to follow the size of the head and draw the rest of the body based on that. Of course, after you learn the proportions, you can simply draw the rest of the body, right? And when you draw the head, you can make it smaller in order to make the character look bigger and more bulkier, or you can draw the head bigger and you can make the character more cute, more kawaii, as the Japanese would say. So yeah, I think we can play with that a little bit, but in the end. So first of all, let's start with something simple. Okay, on the whole canvas, I'm just gonna draw a straight line. Okay, and let's see what those people are talking about. This 8-head rule. Okay, so if we take another layer to make things very simple, right, and we draw an oval here, I will just copy and paste this oval 8 times if Photoshop allows me. It's a bit more difficult than I thought, but okay, there, that's easier. Let's do that really quickly, and now I think we can make a whole bunch of copies, and there we go. Okay, so we have 8 heads. Okay, and let's separate them with lines to make things easier to see. We have those 8 heads that people are talking about when they are discussing human proportions. Let's go to this mannequin over here. Okay, hope you can see it as well as possible. So now, as I said, things start with the head. This is where the chin will end, and this is where the top of the head goes. And afterwards, there are some other points of reference along the body where you can stop based on those proportions that we already drew, based on those 8 heads. And as you can see in this diagram, right, if you split the body in half, we have 4 heads for the head and the torso region and also the pelvis area, and then we have 4 heads for the legs. We're not talking about the place where the legs start from, right, because the hips are kind of part of the pelvis area, but we're talking about underneath underneath the bottom. From there, you have another 4 heads of proportion to build the legs. We can see it kind of here, right? You can notice. So, if we think about it, and before we start doing that, so this is the half point of the body, okay? From here down we have legs. From here up we have torso. And let's leave it at torso, okay? And another thing that I want to talk about is that some people like to make this, how do you call it? The size of the body, but the one that you take into account when you're talking about lateral. I'm saying that right? I don't know. The thing is, right, they take into account 3 heads as the measurement up until the shoulder area where the hands start from, okay? So as you notice in this drawing, if we draw another 2 heads on the sides, mostly, right, it would follow this rule of 3 heads that make the length. That was the word I was searching for, the length of the body. So the length of the body could be 3 heads. Okay, you can have those general measurements, but you'll see that in time, this is just the beginning. In time, you and I will get more comfortable with proportions and we'll play around more with it. Okay, so let's take this into account when we're drawing next. Now, what I've noticed is that the second line, let's say that this is the first line, okay, under the chin. The second line goes around the nipple area, okay? So the chest, and you can imagine, right, the nipple area going somewhere there, okay, as we see in those diagrams. Yeah, more or less people follow that rule. Yeah, okay, even in children, again, more or less. In babies, no, it doesn't apply anymore, but in adult human beings it does. So you can think about, yeah, let's draw. I hope I won't get banned for that, for showing male nipples in this live stream, because it's for learning purposes. We don't have any sort of indecency going on. We're just trying to understand things. I hope things are okay. So now you can notice again that, yeah, we have this for the chest area. Then we go 1 line lower to the third, and we have the like the tummy area, okay, the stomach. So it should go somewhere around here, and then you'll have the navel, I think it's called, right in the middle, and everything ends with the pelvis over here. You can imagine something like that, because it would go like this, and you know, the bones are something like this, right? Something like that. You can imagine it. But we'll talk about anatomy in a totally different stream. Other than that, let's look at the legs a bit more. Now, we skip a line, right? We go through the middle line, but here we skip a line because the legs are quite long, as you know. And we go straight to the 6th line, and here you'll have the knees. Okay. I see this mannequin has the knees close together. You can draw them however, because the legs can be more split apart, but for the purposes of this exercise I'll just draw them here. And then of course the legs should end at this point. Now this is interesting because I see, the fingers going outside here. The fingers follow exactly the rule that we talked about. And here you will see, because they use 7.5 heads for proportion, then you have legs that are a bit shorter. They are only 3.5 legs tall. Okay, so now moving back up, I want to notice some other things. The neck. Where does the neck stop? We know where it starts, right? It's connected to the head. But where does it stop? I'd say that from what I've seen until now, I think it's about a third of this area, right, of this head size. So if we make the neck stop here, we can start building, right, like in the picture, the shoulders that go over here. Right, so yeah, as I said, you'll think about the chest area, right, the pectoral muscles, and things connect somewhere up here. And the hands don't actually, how should I put it? Maybe I drew the nipples a bit too far from each other, but yeah, drawing them a bit closer, because the hands should start like here, right, where the third leg, let's say, the third head ends. So yeah, if we think about it like that, then you can imagine, right, the arm more or less going like this, something like this. And now I'm not drawing anatomically correctly. I'm just drawing based on stuff that I saw before, and I'm certain that once we'll go through anatomy, we'll be able to make those even better. But for now, for the purposes of this talk, of this exercise, it's fine. Okay, so how about the hands though? We know where they start, mostly where the neck stops, right? That's where the shoulders are positioned. That's where the hands will start. Yeah. Let's make it mirrored. Okay. But where are the other parts? So now we can see that from the navel, you have like the first half, right? The upper arm stops somewhere above the navel. So it doesn't go all the way here, because you see the proportions would be quite wrong. You can notice it on your own body, right? Keep your arm next to your body and see where is it. It's above the navel, right? It's the half point. It's somewhere above the navel. Okay, it's not straight on the same line as the navel. So I'd say let's follow the third rule. Okay, let's go with a third of this proportion, between 2 and 3. And let's mark it here. The first half, the upper arm. And now for the lower arm, we'll see that up until the hand, where the hand begins, where we have the wrist, you will notice that the wrist is a bit above the lower part of the pelvis. So I don't think it's a third. Again, you can keep your hand next to your body and notice where does it go. It's a bit harder to do when you're sitting, of course, so I recommend you stand up and try to see. But for the purposes of this lesson, I'd say it goes a quarter of the length, right? Just, you know, a size. Let's have something to work with, right? Okay. So, we have this for hands. And now from the wrist, you get the palms, which are up to like half the distance between the fourth and the fifth line. I think it's something like that. But if we think about it, you know, place your hand next to your head, so you would see that it's almost the size of your head. It's a little bit smaller than the size of your head, so it's like 3/4 maybe. So if it starts here, then it might go up to here. This is exactly 3/4, right? So yeah, it's about that size, the palm. It's about 3/4. So I truly recommend you check out the proportions of your own body and see how they are in comparison with those rules, because they don't have to necessarily follow all of those rules. Those are just some general proportions that are used for learning in the beginning. But things will be different. In real life, things are always a lot more diverse. Okay, so now we can see that moving on, right? We can follow the shapes. Think about the pelvis over here in this area. Then the legs would start. And the legs, you know, have those wide, muscly lines. You draw those big lines for the muscles of the legs. You can also think that this bone is the femur, which is the longest bone in the human body. So that's again a reason to draw the legs like this, to follow those kind of proportions. And now moving on to the lower part, here the leg goes something like this. And for the actual foot, for the feet, let's go up to this one and see that it goes up to about 1/3 of this head. Or if you follow the 7.5 rule, it would be around the last half left for this kind of proportion. So now, again, made them quite skinny, this lower side. But you can see what we are talking about. So if you look at this, if I look at this, I can notice something a bit weird going on here. Like, it seems this human, this mannequin, is very, very tall. Like, I would say something around 2 meters tall, maybe 190, but the proportions make it seem like he's really tall. So yeah, we can imagine that making him this bit shorter, right? So just 7.5 heads would probably make it the average average height of most humans. But now let's look a bit at those kind of proportions, right? Here we see the 7.5 heads. It's called in this picture the academic proportions. Yeah, so this human looks more to the average size of most humans. This mannequin, this is the idealistic proportions. And of course, to create this kind of idealistic proportions, you have to take into consideration also how big you make the how big you make the legs, and you have to respect some kind of equivalence with the upper body, because you cannot make the legs as I've done here, those huge muscly legs, and then the arms which are quite skinny. You can make it, I mean, who cares? But I'm just saying, if you want to follow the proportions and make it seem like a well-proportioned mannequin, then you should pay attention to the muscles as well. You know, make him a bit more bulky. But again, for that we have to learn about the muscles and where they are located, so that we can make them bigger and smaller. And currently I'm not very sure. Like, I have a general idea, but I'm not 100% certain where we can adjust things. With that being said, I think we can move on. We have 20 more minutes. So this is not everything that I've prepared. This is just one bit with the proportions. I would like all of us to try and do the same with some images. Now, if you don't have any particular images, I'd suggest you browse Google whenever you have the time. You don't have to do it right now, but I've prepared some in order to make things a bit easier and a bit faster, because I want to get those images into Photoshop, and I want us to try and follow the proportions. Let's try to bring this samurai dude, okay, and make it, oh, cancel, there we go, make it him a bit smaller, okay, and lower the opacity, there we go. And let's see what are the proportions of his body. Let's see if we can figure this out. Pick a color for your brush that's different from the background, that creates contrast with the background. Okay, so we got his head, right? His head, which is about, yeah, I think we got the size, right? And thankfully he's looking straight at the camera. So now let's copy and paste this head a bunch of times. Yeah, and just see, because as I was talking about, everything is theory, but we have to test things out in order to understand how those work, how life works in general, and how can we adjust afterwards. Okay, so we got the fourth head. Already things seem tricky, I think. Oh, and I don't know exactly why, but I think we might have made the head too big. The first head. Maybe it had to stop here, the chin area. I am not sure. But let's keep going. Let's keep going and see what happens. Okay, so this person would be going with my calculations, would be 6 3/4 of a head tall. That doesn't seem quite right, does it? Like they said 7.5. Okay, I might have done something wrong. Good. Then delete the heads, start again. This is the process of learning. Okay, let's try and think about it. Okay, so the hair might be like starting from here. Okay, so the head may be a bit smaller. That's one thing. Then the chin is located here for this person. I might have taken into account a bit of the neck when I was drawing that head. And then, yeah, I think that's more appropriate. Now I think we'll get to 7 heads as a proportion, but not that much over 7. Now it's interesting because I see the opacity is lowered for this, but the color seems to be a bit lighter, and I don't know why. Anyway, maybe I'll figure it out, maybe I won't. But for now, let's keep going. Now things are different. Okay, it might have been a mistake of mine. Where's the head? Here's the head. It might have been a mistake of mine when I started with that head, because now, as we can all see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So it follows the proportions. It does. Interesting, right? Interesting. So we saw that those proportions are based on many thousands of years, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of years of study. Okay, so for me this is a lesson to pay attention more. Now for the heads, for the actual length of the body, length or width, I think it's the width, right? Because this is the length. No, this is the height. Okay, I got all of those confused. It might be that this is the length, like this is the length of the body, or the width of the body. Anyways, 3 heads, right? Let's go back to it. 3 heads. We got those 3 heads. Unfortunately, this person does not, how should I put it? He's not looking straight at the camera, and he doesn't have the body straight to the camera as well. Only the head looks at us. But we'll work with what we have. And we can notice that, right, one hand is following the rule mostly. The other goes a bit outside of the rule, but I think that's because he is turned to one side, and that's why this hand goes a bit towards the inside and this goes towards the outside of the guiding lines. And now let's think about the other rules, right? The chest area. Yeah, I can believe it's situated somewhere around here, even if we don't see through his clothes. But I didn't want to bring models that had no clothes on before I do some research into how is that you know, how is that safe to do on YouTube when you're studying art? If you can actually do that, I don't know if you can, or if you have to if you have to cover them up all the time, only use covered models for reference. We'll see. We'll see about that when we'll get there. Now, for the upper arm, we can notice that it goes somewhere over here. And let me open up the rule book, let's call it. And yeah, the upper arm was 1/3 above the navel point. And here, the upper arm, I think it's 1/3. Mostly it is 1/3 of the way, right, towards the navel area. And the navel area, yeah, I can believe his navel is somewhere around here. Now, the pelvis area, yeah, it looks likely that he, you know, if we're drawing his underwear, right, could look something like that behind the clothing. Then we have, I think, this was for the leg, for the foot, right? So yeah, I can see that. I can see that clearly. The foot is there. Again, this foot is a bit to the back. We won't take it into consideration. But now, because we have 7.5 heads as proportion, we will notice that the knee is probably somewhere here in the middle, right? Most likely it's here. It goes like this. So yeah, if we follow the foot, which would go something like that, I think, based on my poor knowledge of human anatomy, I think the knee is somewhere around there. And then we get, yeah, the rest of the leg. And then you have the other leg, of course. And the knee would be somewhere a bit, you know, upper. But if you think about it, yeah, we can follow the proportions of the plane that's in front of us and create stuff that is a bit behind, maybe, right? Oh, yeah, something like that. Okay, so yeah, it did follow the proportions. Now for the hand, I was stuck at the hand now. I want to see, okay, so the hand goes all the way to here. Was that the same? Let me see. So the hand was 1/4 above the pelvis area. And we can see here that the hand is 1/4 above the pelvis area. And then it moves lower towards half of the next head proportion. So yeah, it is 3/4 in length, let's say, if we take a head as proportion. Right, so this works. This kind of works. We can use that. We can create something new from it as well. So what I want to do is, let me show you a bit of the other proportions in order to get a better understanding of what's going on. So if we make another group, oh, this was an empty group. And yep, let's do another one. And here in this new group, I want to move this to one side, and we will draw over here. We can close the references for now. Oh yeah, let's save that, because I want you to have the whole screen visible. So now let's try, why did I close it? I need it now. Okay, let me open it back up and let's see if the stream picks up anything, or if I have to open it again. No, it doesn't. No worries. Go to properties and pure ref. There we go. Okay, so I want to use this. And what I want to focus on right now is the idea that when you draw children, the proportions are obviously different. So if I quickly draw some heads, they don't have to be perfect, of course, but let's draw, what does it say here? So it's like 7, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 7 heads. Whoa, that's a lot. They are smaller, right? Okay. Yeah, let me make them a bit smaller so that we can fit 7, 5, 6, 7. 7 heads. Okay. So we can see, is this right? You know, yeah, I mean, let's notice some things. This chest area, right? The nipples seem to go a bit above the chest area, but now when we're talking about the navel, this is different. The navel is 1/3, it seems, right? It's over here, so it's 1/3 of the next proportion, as the next head. Then if we try to spot the pelvis area, yeah, it would be at the half point between the third and the fourth line. So it would go somewhere over here. That's interesting. That is really interesting because it's different, right? It's not the fourth line as we were used to over here, but it's 3.5. And then we can see the knees. The knees are over here at the 5th line. Huh. Right. Okay. This is interesting. This is interesting. And then for the last part, we have about 1/3 of this area for the actual feet. Yeah? Something like that. If we draw, oh, no, what's going on? Let's start from the knee. If we draw what we see here, yeah. Huh. Right. Of course, this will appear as a very, very muscly kid. Very athletic kid. And yeah, the pelvis, it doesn't work like that. Okay. So yeah, would be less space over there. Then we have the body, right? And what else? The hands. The hands, yeah. Let's see. Oh, one moment. Whew. Yeah, a bit of a cold going on or something, I don't know. Okay, moving on. Yeah, the hands. Let's see about the hands. They seem to have a middle point here at 2.5. That's reasonable to use in the future. Huh. Okay. 2.5, and then then the hand starts somewhere. It appears between 3 and 4. Or maybe a bit lower, but very, very slightly lower. So the hand would start just below the pelvis area. And then you'll have a hand that it's quite small, but it follows the rules, I think. Okay, so we have some sort of human there, some sort of child, I think, but the legs, the legs are the problem, of course. But now, if we think about a baby, very quickly, a baby is very different in proportion. As we see here, it's made up of about 3 heads, right? Nope, not like that, but like this. Yeah. So you can see the second line. Let me write it down. So the second line is above the navel. So the navel is somewhere at 1/3 between the second and third line. Then the pelvic area is 2/3. The chest area is between 1 and 2, maybe in the middle, right? And then we have knees that are below the third line, just below. Some small knees. And then we have another small part for the actual legs. And you can see that things are a bit more bulkier, let's say, when you're drawing a child, when you're drawing a how is it called, a toddler. So yeah, things are different. It's important to take into account all of those differences when you're trying to make something realistic, right? Okay, so yeah, this is some sort of toddler, and they don't have much neck over here, I see, just a little bit, and the head is huge compared to the rest of the body and compared to adults, and it's normal to be like that. The same goes on for animals. The same thing, that proportions are very different from child to adult. You can see that, yeah, the hands start somewhere around the belly button, the navel. There we go. And they kind of end there somewhere. Okay, so we got those 3 things out of the way, those 3 general proportions, let's say. We've done an exercise to check out how they work. And now what I'd like to do is, again, another project where I want to create a pose, a simple pose, right? But starting from this kind of proportions, create a basic mannequin that of course has a theme, as you got used to already. I like to add a theme to my little projects, and I will show you some references that I've gathered, but we'll do that after a short break. So do whatever, take a glass of water, take a sip of water, go to the bathroom, but also always remember that it's very important to take a break from time to time. So I'll be right back and see you in just a moment. And we are back. Now, let's close this exercise and move on to the project part. And you will notice over here in this corner, also thank you for the message, the kind words. You're amazing as well. You will notice here that I've gathered some reference images that show thieves, burglars, creatures that attack and steal and grab money from banks, stuff like that. And that's what I want to base my little project today on. This kind of reference images, right? Of those thieves. I don't think I'll go with those explosive guys. I was thinking about it, but I think I tend to like those creepy, stay in the shadow, kind of people, Assassin's Creed type characters. So let's keep this open over here in the corner, and let's try to follow what we talked about so far. So the opacity is lowered. That's why the thing was not showing properly. The opacity was lowered. I get it now. Okay. Let's go with black. Okay, good old black. And this is like a sketch, right? Like a sketch. If we want to go with a soft round brush, maybe it's more like a sketch if we do that. Because we want to make a basic sketch first of all. And let's think about how do we want this thief to pose. Let's keep it simple though, right? I don't want to follow the proportions exactly. Like I don't want him to stay, even though he could, or she, right? Could be from front. Yeah, maybe it's better to keep things simple. Okay, I've decided we'll keep things simple for now. And we have some limits to the canvas. And let's draw those heads. And try to draw them as similar as you can to one another. And we'll go with 7.5 as a general proportion, because it looked quite nice earlier. And maybe we'll do a lady. Let's make a lady thief. Okay, so we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. Now let's remember what we've learned, right? The chin goes here. The chest area is here. I will not draw any nipples because I talked earlier that I will create a female character, and I don't know what are the rules on YouTube about drawing female characters, or male for that matter. This stream might be banned. This whole channel might be banned. I have no idea. I should have searched this topic better. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I'll make a note, a mental note right now, but I will search it later on to make sure things are fine. So let's remember, right? If we number it down, we'll take our time because we have 1 hour to do this project. That's plenty of time. Of course, you can take as much as you want to make those drawings. If you get lost into them, the better, because I think it's really, really exciting and fulfilling to get lost in doing something that you enjoy. Okay, let's start with the simple things, right? We have the chin, and being a lady character, I'll try to make the chin a bit pointier, right? A bit pointier because it shows elegance, shows femininity. And the head It's just as we are used to, like an oval shape. Because she has the hood over the head, makes things easier for us. You know, you can already imagine that the hood will stay there we go. The hood will be positioned somewhere above the head, because you have to take into consideration the hair, right? So if she has hair, then the hood will be positioned somewhere on top of her hair. Yes? So we think about that. And yeah, keep it simple because it's a sketch, right? So I think the first sketch is done, right? The basic heads. Now we can lower the opacity. Lower the opacity. And we can start making some more adjustments. Oh, I want to draw just one more head to have some sort of dimensions for the width of the body. Very important to know that as well. Let's make it like that. Yeah. Okay. And now, let's see. The chest area. Now let's continue with the neck, right? Because I remember it was over here somewhere. I won't look for the things that I drew earlier, because I want this to be a bit challenging, to make my mind work for the information in order to remember it more easily further on. So we got the neck, we've got some muscles that probably are connected over here, and we've got the hands. And for the body, for this type of body, right, for the female body, you will have to take into consideration the fact that the proportions are a bit more like different. They are different from the male body. The male body usually has wider shoulders, but the female body has a wider hip area, right? So we'll have to take that into consideration when we're drawing right now. So keep it feminine in form. Now here would be the navel. Keep that in mind. Here would be the pelvis area, right? We can draw it like this. Make things easier. You can think about how wide the abdomen would be, right? So I think it would be something like that, to have a point of reference. And then, you know, the legs. Let's go to this size, yeah. And think about how they are positioned, right? So now the abdomen, right, it goes upwards. And we have over here, I didn't go into that detail, but it's important to mention it. I kind of forgot something that I knew about. The fact that we have the rib cage, right? The rib cage, I'll make it as simple as possible, but the rib cage goes something like this, you know, with all the ribs. It has sternum here, clavicles, right? And the rib cage gives us this shape, the shape of the upper body, because the skin follows the bones, the bone structure. And once you know that, you understand why the abdomen is slimmer than the upper part, where you have bones. Here, there are no bones to connect to the skin in this area to make a shape, right? So that's why the body flows in this way. Okay, so now let's clean up a bit. And I'll just draw, you know, if you think about it, yeah, the neck goes like this. And as you saw, the clavicles, they are somewhere around there. Okay, and on this body, on this area, right, you would have the breasts. The breasts that you can think of as simply, how can you put it, like water balloons, maybe, you know, because they have weight to them, and you have to think how to draw them naturally, right? How to make them look naturally. Of course, if you want to give that kind of impression, you don't necessarily have to draw them like as they would hang from their weight, but you can also draw them if you want to, like being stiff, you know, being straight or point, you know, point towards the front, let's say, because the characters may differ, right? This is just based on the anatomy and making things look more natural if you want to, right? And it's good to get an understanding of this. But yeah, they would be something like that. And if they are not symmetrical, that's fine, because that's what I saw many times, and I heard about the fact that they usually are not supposed to be symmetrical. I think that's the word. Anyway, moving on. Let's remember that, you know, the middle part of the arm is over here, and you'll have a bicep, right? Somewhere over here it would be, and then the arm would continue, and let's think about it. We want to make an assassin, right? Let's make her hold in her hands 2 knives. So we can do something like this, you know, but how long should the hand be? And let's take some lines, some helpful lines, okay? Let's remember, think the hand was something like that, you know, like it, or maybe like this, right? It had this length and this length. Maybe this is a bit too much, but let's say it goes all the way up to here, right? Sorry about that. So let's say it goes like that. And now if we want to move upwards, we just have to draw an arc. And think about, yeah, it would probably be somewhere around here. You know, the better you make the arc, the better your proportions will be in the end. And let's think about it as such, right? If we follow the way the muscles work, you know, it has those bumps. And then here we'll have to add the actual hand. So let's see. Make it like this, and here it has a hand. But the hand, I think it's important to hold that knife we were talking about. So let's just draw something very simple. I didn't get to study anatomy that much, but you know, give the impression of some fingers, right? And when we'll get to anatomy, we'll get into more details. But yeah, keep it simple for now. I think that's all right. That's all right for the moment. And this arm, let's make it have a different angle to keep things a bit more diverse. So now let's say it would go like this, right? Something like that. Of course, this is a work in progress and doesn't have to look that good at the moment, right? We're just doing this to learn. We're doing this to have fun, to relax. Maybe it was a long day for you. For me, it definitely was. And now this is time that I want to spend for myself in order to improve, but at the same time to feel that I'm doing what is important for me, right? And this is relaxing just because of that. That's incredible. Honestly, that feels awesome. Okay, so now I made this hand a bit bigger. I think I'll do the same with this one, because the proportions seem a bit off, right? That's too much. Come on. Maybe like that. We'll have to work on that. We'll have enough time to work on that, so no worries. And now, for the lower part, I have to think, what were the rules? This half bit was for feet, right? And I think the knees were right here in the middle. So let me grab some water and we'll get on with it. All right. Now, let's see. Let's draw the knees in this general area. Okay? Somewhere there. And if we follow the way the legs should work, it should be pretty much a curved line that has only one curvature. Yeah? Something like that. And remember, try and use the shoulder. Try to draw from the shoulder in order to get things right. Okay, and we'll make them just like that. And now, have to think about the feet. The feet. Maybe they would be something like this. Maybe. Again, I'm not that sure. But they look about right. So now, is this the part that's straight and it goes like this? Or is this the part? Yeah, I think it's more like that. Because we're looking from the front, right? Now what I'm doing is I'm thinking through based on observation, thinking about those muscles in the back. What are they called though? I know how they are called in my native language, but again, there are a lot of muscles that I will study and will get to know a bit better in English as well. And here, it's not just a straight line, but it is curved. It does have a curvature as well. Okay. And from here, we have yet another one. And here we do the same. Okay. So I think we have the basics, right, for some sort of character. Now, what I'd say we do is combine the two. Let me draw the head as well though, right? Because I want to keep the head. I want to keep this shape. for later on. So let's draw the head yet again. Just like that. And also the cloth on top of the head. And now I think we can stop. Yeah, stop that. And make this more transparent. And now, now let's add the clothing. Yeah? Let's try to add clothing that seems realistic for the purposes of this drawing. And let's look at other stuff, at references, right? So you see, usually the thieves, those kinds of thieves that I've gathered, they have a cloak, right? They have this kind of garment. That's interesting. I think we can replicate it. Let me make it like this, so you know it has a bit of dynamics. You know, then how do you call it? Diversity, maybe. What I wanted to say was dynamism, but I don't think that's a word in English. So yeah, it looks more dynamic. Let's keep it at that. And for this, let's try and go like this, right, for the opening. And let's assume it covers big part of the area for the face. And it should connect somewhere, right? It should connect somewhere around here. But I like the fact that it goes as such, you know, and it should be a bit limpy or something, right? Like it should seem that, you know, it's hanging. I like this line as well. This is a nice line. Okay. So, yeah, we got this cloak going on, right? This cloak that covers the head, yeah? Oh, let's give it a bit of form. Remember the thing about the form, right? Right now I'm drawing those lines in order to try and give more of the feeling of that kind of form. Here I feel the need to add a bit more weight to this somehow. Yeah, okay, I think that's pretty fine. But now let's add the garment all the way over here. Right, so think about it. Following the breasts, yeah, and continuing over here, because it would have to be a discrepancy, right? It would have to stop there and follow the shape around. So let's say it follows, and here it goes a bit to the outside, right? Here it's straight, but here, yeah, something like that maybe. And I wanted to follow the same thing over here. Okay, so we got this going on. Maybe that's a bit more unrealistic, but I like the way it looked. But it seems a bit much. But now, I think that's better, right? We're showing that this is in quite a bit of tension. Here things are more loose. We can even have some lines that go like this, right? To show that, oh, here here is tension, right? Here is quite a bit of tension. Let me make this a bit smaller. But here things are more loose. Like that. Maybe. Maybe something like that. Yeah, I don't really know how to draw those kind of marks on the cloth. That's another thing that I would really much like to learn. Okay. So yeah, let's keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, keep it nice. I think we can move on. Yeah. Yeah, let's move on. And as I said, you know, it has to look realistic, so a bit of three-dimensionality, if that is the word. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's make it look realistic. Just like that. I think that's good. I think that's pretty good. Here, another tension line. Maybe. Okay. So we got this cloth going on, right? And now I think we have to move on to the armor. So we got a cloth going on over here. We could make her wear some of these stuff. I think that would be quite useful for fighting. This kind of garments. Hey Dag, hey, any books to learn how to draw? Yeah, well, I've used quite a bunch. I've started quite a lot of those books. Of course, didn't go through the whole material, through the whole thing. If you have some, I'm interested. Sure thing. I'd really appreciate it. I have already quite a bunch, as I said, and I also have some courses that I've started. I think my problem mostly when it comes to how regularly I draw is exactly that I don't draw regularly, or let's say I didn't used to draw regularly until I've decided that this is serious for me and this is something that I really want to do for myself, to learn things in a better way, let's say. So the short answer is I'd really appreciate if you send me a message on Discord. It would be amazing, and I thank you. And other than that, what I'm hoping to do is draw more, learn more from this kind of stuff, from all the materials that I have, and those that are provided to me by people that are really nice like you. I've also had some other friends that also gave me books and links and materials, and I'm really thankful to all of them, because even though there are, let's say, quite a lot of references out there are a lot of courses, a lot of people who study this kind of stuff, I mostly found the greatest results when I take them one at a time and in my own pace. And books help a lot with that, because you go through the pages one at a time, you learn things gradually. So yeah, I really like to study from books. And from courses, it depends, right? It depends on who made the course and how they made it. I like people who explain stuff in quite a lot of detail, for example, because I really want to understand things as clearly as possible. before moving on to another subject. But yeah, I'm a fan of learning from books. And also when we're talking about software as well, it's quite interesting. And I'm not talking about programming right now, but I am talking about 3D design, because I have a book from my best friend, I'd say, and yeah, a book about how to learn to draw in Blender. And I've started going through it, and it's a great experience. It's very well written. It explains things very nicely. But most importantly, it's a book, and I can hold it in my hands, and I can look through the pages, and I can read the information how many times I want. And that's amazing. I really enjoy going with this type of learning device, let's call it. So yeah, yeah, exactly. We don't have enough time to go through all the stuff, to draw as much as maybe we want to. But you know, the little time that we have, let's spend it on things that we like to do. Now, yeah, moving on this character, because I went with this kind of gauntlets. I guess they're called bracelets, leather braces. I think that's the official name. I'm gonna keep it, simple. Make it leathery if I can somehow. Giving it a worn look. But yeah. Regarding what I was talking about earlier, about the books, about spending time learning from them and drawing, I really like to lose myself into details. As you would probably notice if I wasn't talking a lot and I wasn't reminding myself that, I have to move on. I really like to spend a lot of time on really small details and getting the lines right. It's just a thing that it's difficult to change, maybe, about my personality. I'm very detail oriented, and if you leave me with something that I really like to do, like a puzzle, maybe it's the same thing, you'll lose me in that puzzle. I'll get hours and hours of just finding the pieces and looking at the whole picture again, and basically I think I said it as well as I could. Getting lost. That's how it feels. Getting lost into the action, into the actual thing. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Sometimes it can really help clear things out. Go back to the simple stuff. Enjoy doing what you're doing. It can get a bit more, how should I say, it can get a bit more difficult when you have many projects, when you're working for actual money and you have to finish them, right? Then you don't have the actual time to do all the stuff that maybe you would like to. But other than that, in my spare time, that's why it's called spare time, do whatever. Spend the spare time however you want to. So now I've been gathering some info from this stuff. Oh, I've moved it. Right, from those belts, I want to, yeah, that's more like it, a big belt. I want to draw something to cover this area, to make a design that's maybe useful for her. I don't necessarily like designs for the sake of design. Just create something that looks nice but has no actual function. I'm not a big fan of that. That's why most of the time I keep my drawings quite detail free, let's say. But that's not because necessarily I don't like, as I said earlier, the thing. It's more about the idea that I don't know how to make those details work with one another. You see? So I drew those two belts. Why would she have two belts? Okay, one is for holding her pants or whatever, but the other one, maybe she has something inside, or something stuck to the belt that's useful, like, I don't know, darts. Maybe she has some darts here, right? Bunch of darts. Quickly, she throws the dart into someone, and the dart is a sleeping dart, maybe. Or maybe she has some of those metallic trippy things. The ones that you throw on the ground and people just fall in your wake. So they can be balls, they can be those cantrips. That's what they're called. Yeah. Let's just say she has some of that stuff. Okay, so for the actual t-shirt or whatever garment she's wearing, I'll go with this one. Oh, the ambulance. The ambulance is around here somewhere. I think you could hear that pretty clearly. Let's go, with simple garment, as I've shown above. Now I've noticed the clock. The clock is ticking. I have 20 more minutes for this session. I truly recommend you all try to find 10 minutes a day to do the stuff that you enjoy. Whatever it is. But find the time in the morning or before you go to bed to just doing it for the sake of doing it, with no results in mind. That's what kept me going for quite a long time and made me feel like, things are not that bad. Maybe I'm not drawing as much as I would like to, but I'm still doing something. Yeah? It can be whatever, cooking. Like, you can boil an egg if you enjoy cooking. I don't know. Make it simple. Simplify things. Make it take less time. Now, when I said about the cooking, I thought about making some sandwiches, but adding nice details, like creating faces on the sandwiches or making animals out of cheese and vegetables, stuff like that, right? So play around because we have only one life and we really should enjoy what we're doing. I think it goes like that. Oh, I don't remember how the belt looks like. Okay, so for the lower part, I wouldn't give her a skirt because it's not that. I don't think that's really easy to work as an assassin or a thief in. I'd give her pants, right? So let's look at the design of the pants. You can see This goes over to the knee, but I wouldn't do that as well. I'd give her some boots that should protect her ankles, right? But other than that, they're just useful, you know? They're useful for running through the mud, for getting out of trouble, for making little sound. Yeah, they have to be quite light. And yeah, I think leather works fine for this type of garment, for the boots. Shouldn't make much noise. And yeah, you would have to make it stick to your leg somehow. So let me redraw, make it look like it's right next to the legs somehow, something like that. And you can imagine, like, yeah, she just locked it, you know, she made it stable. Okay, and now for the actual pants, something freeing, something that allows her to move as fast as the wind. And the pants will follow the shape of the body mostly, right? And over here it probably split like that. Yeah, yes, something like that. And the actual pants, yeah, they are like this, go around those long curvy lines. Okay, and here just a bit of shadow for the knee area, and then I don't know, they're not baggy pants though, they seem to be I'm not sure how to draw this, those cloth lines, right, as I was saying earlier. But yeah, maybe something like that. Maybe here there will be some of those lines. Okay, I think this is quite good. Having a bit of trouble understanding. Oh yeah, okay, so they have something that protects them. Maybe it would go like this, but it shouldn't bother her when she's running. Just a bit more protection for the actual belly, so you don't get stabbed that easily. Yeah, it can be something like that. And the garment stops here, and this kind of leathery stuff, I don't know how to call it, but yeah, this one have to be different, to look a bit different. And you see those designs, right? The textures make them look so nice. Yeah, most of the time we're talking about the textures that create the appearance of really, really cool materials. Okay, yeah, something Something like that. Let's keep it simple for now, because we don't have that much time. But I would like to finish the hands as well, and put 2 knives into her hands quickly, because if we don't make it, she won't be able to fight. That would be terrible. Having a thief that has no weapons. Ooh. Wouldn't want that. So let's give her what she needs. Okay. This goes like something like that. Yeah, you can notice now that one leg is much thicker than the other one. God. Okay, let's try to fix it somehow. Yeah, I think that's better. But yeah, it looked quite funny. It's not supposed to be like that. You have to take into consideration that, you know, arms and legs, most of the time they are similar. They have the same proportion. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. All right, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, okay. A bigger boot. Yeah, like something like that. Bigger boot. And here. Yeah. Looks fine. And now quickly draw the last details. The knives, right? Okay, so let's think about it. Something like this. Yeah? So you can see that I've turned around so that I can feel this this form, you know. Okay, so this has to be very small, because it's a knife. Okay, you're not gonna protect much with the knife, much of your hand. It's not a sword. It's not meant for that. It's meant for stabbing. Okay, and the knife blade. Oh, it's like one of those, what's it called, a stiletto or something, you know. Very sharp tip. Oh, this is a big knife. This is a very big knife. And where does she hold the knife? Okay, that's a problem for another time. Yeah, she should have something, you know. She should have some place to put the knives. Just imagine that those were part of the design all along, right? And here, the other hand. There we are. Okay, and here a different knife. Yeah, one of those very, very comically looking knives. Okay, there we have it. And for the face, the last few moments will be spent on drawing some sort of face that's mostly covered by her hair, right? So okay. Let's see. This should look all right. The old problem of drawing eyes. Thankfully, Photoshop solved this issue. What's going on? Why am I not drawing? What's going on? What is going on? Something happened. Photoshop just told me, you know, this is the end of the stream, so you should stop drawing. It doesn't work anymore. The opacity is fine. Don't need smoothing. Huh. Can I erase stuff? Apparently not. Oh, because it's a different layer, right? Cannot use the erase. Oh, okay. Okay, so I wanna erase this layer. It does something though, you see? Oh, maybe, yeah. It still had the eye selected. Good old issue with the selection. Yeah, let's make those eyes pop out a bit more. there we have it. The Lady Thief. And we could add some ears. Right. Okay, this was really fun. This was really fun to do. Okay guys, thank you for watching. It's 2 hours of streaming up to this point. I hope you've learned something useful. Maybe you drew along, maybe you did whatever else, you cleaned up around your house, you cooked, whatever, you did some exercises. Doesn't matter. I thank you for watching this video, and I certainly hope that you are fine, that you are spending a bit of time doing something that you enjoy, and hopefully in time you'll get more chances to do that more often. That's what I'm hoping to do with this live stream, and thank you all for the opportunity of being able to do this. You know, it's amazing to create this kind of content, to live stream, to interact with people online. I think it's great. And I wish you a great rest of the evening. And other than that, I'll see you at the next stream. Have a great